What's up, Ravens fans? It's good to be back in Baltimore. Mick and I are finally doing another mailbag together. It's been a few weeks.
Seriously.
I know, but lots of questions coming into the mailbag, and let's start with free agency talk. This first question comes to us from Terp Family for Life.
Nice.
And the question here is there a chance for the Ravens to look at Gerald McCoy? Obviously, the Bucs just parted ways with him earlier this week.
Yeah, I think that there's a chance that the Ravens would at least evaluate that and talk about it. Gerald McCoy's a 6-time Pro Bowler. I mean, he's regarded as one of the best guys, just community guys in the whole league. I think he'll be a great fit in Baltimore for a team that really hasn't had a pressuring defensive tackle since Timmy Jernigan was traded. I think a guy who really gets after the quarterback. You look at, Brandon Williams, Michael Pierce, 2 more run-stuffing presences. Think about putting Gerald McCoy in there with those guys.
Be a stout middle of the defense.
That would be a really nice interior. And when you think about the Ravens lost C.J. Mosley in free agency, hey, what's a good way to beef up that run-stopping unit? Add another tackle if you're not going to upgrade at inside linebacker if you take a hit at inside linebacker. So I think that this could really make sense. And the other part that makes sense is the Ravens have a little bit more salary cap space at this juncture. They have $14.5 million right now. So if they're not able to reach, let's say, a contract extension with Matthew Judon or with Pierce or even Peanut, and you're sitting there and say, hey, there's a great player available on the market, we have some money to spend. The Ravens traditionally are a team that spends up to the limit. Yeah. They're not a team that sits on it because they're always every year in win now mode. They want to get to the playoffs every single year and put the best product on the field. So all those factors combined, sure, I think it could make sense.
I think that they're going to have to act fast, though. I mean, all the reasons that you talk about McCoy being a good fit, there's other teams in the league that are thinking the same exact thing.
And have even more cap space than the Ravens do potentially. So.
Yeah, Adam Schefter put out a list of teams that may be interested. Ravens were not on that list, but obviously things can change.
But Bill Barnwell from ESPN says he thinks it would be extremely enticing for the Ravens.
We'll see on this. All right, let's keep it moving here. Our next question comes from Malcolm Smith, and the question here is our receiver position getting overcrowded? Well, there's a bunch of guys at wide receiver. You've got this sort of the top of the list. You got Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin, your draft picks. You got Willie Seed and Chris Moore. I think those guys are certainly on the team. But then there's just going to be a whole bunch of competition for those final few roster spots. Jordan Lastly.
2 roster spots.
2 roster spots. Sorry, yeah. You got Jordan Lastly, Jaleel Scott. You've got the new undrafted rookies in Joe Horn Jr. You got Jalen Smith. You've also got Seth Roberts. You've got Michael Floyd. Am I missing anyone else here? So I think that there is a lot of competition for those final couple of roster spots, which I don't think that that's overcrowded. I think when you're talking about the 1 or 2 spots, you want a ton of competition there, and I think that the more players you can bring into that mix, the better. Like, take Michael Floyd, for example. To me, he's a high upside. If he doesn't work out, fine. But if he does work out, you could get a guy for cheap that turns out to be a really good player. I don't have any problem with that.
Certainly no problem. I mean, I think it's really funny that a month or 2 ago, everybody's like, we have no wide receivers. The cupboard is bare. Now the question is, are we overcrowded at wide receiver? I mean, you can never be overcrowded at any position.
No.
Competition is always a good thing.
Competition is a good thing, and my point is when you talk about the final spots at that position, I think that's the good thing because the competition is going to bring out the best of these guys, and it's going to be really fun to watch in training camp.
Yeah. Last question comes from @Capo51501. The question is, do you think moving Tyus Bowser to middle linebacker is a good idea for the team? He clearly has good cover skills and can rush, so it seems to be a good idea to me. Well, if I want to be a people pleaser, I know which way I should answer this question. I mean, this really goes to overcrowded as well. Now, all of a sudden, you bring back Pernell McPhee, and you sign Shane Ray, and you look at outside linebacker and you say, wow, can we move Tyus Bowser to another position? I don't hate the idea. I think that Tyus is a guy who, he's not your traditional edge-setting run stopper. He's also not your traditional kind of bend the edge pass rusher either. He's more of a jack of all trades. I've said that before on Mailbag, that he does a little bit of everything. He is pretty good in coverage. He has some pretty good instincts play on the ball. He can get after the quarterback a little bit. So with that said, it's not an easy transition. It's not like, we've seen it with KC, with Kamalai Correa. Right. It didn't work out for him, and it ended up moving back to outside linebacker. So I think the Ravens coaches will probably experiment with that idea and kind of feel it out and see how Tyus likes it, how he adapts to that, see if it could be a possibility before saying, all right, Tyus, you're now an inside linebacker because we lost C.J. Mosley. We have a lot of outside linebackers, and we're looking for more inside linebackers. So it'll probably be an experiment.
Well, here's the other thing, too. It kind of goes back to my answer on the wide receiver question. There's competition there. There's a bunch of guys, but it's wide open. I mean, if Tyus Bowser comes out here in OTAs and training camp and lights it up and looks like he could be, like, the opportunity is there for him to go in a starting outside linebacker job. So I don't think that you necessarily need to move him because there's so many guys in front of him.
It's not like you have locked in 2 starters.
Yes.
You know Judon,
Yes.
but that other guy could be Bowser, could be Tim Williams, could be McPhee, could be whoever.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So
wide open.
For sure. So there's lots of questions that we'd love to hear from you guys every single week. Send them in on social media using the hashtag Ravens Mailbag. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.